For today's Grimm adventure, we find ourselves visiting the Francis Ford Coppola Winery. No, we are not wine drinkers, but they do have some movie props from Coppola's movies here. You know what, baby girl? It's an absolutely beautiful day to visit this place. I'm a little hungry. I can't wait to see what film props they have here from Coppola's movies. Last time we were here, they had some Bram Stoker's Dracula stuff. I'm sure they have it today.
I hope so.
But just walking around, looking at the grounds, this is beautiful.
I want to smell more flowers.
Now, to be completely truthful, I'm not entirely sure if Francis Ford Coppola still owns this place. I did hear somebody at one point say that the family at one point sold it. Don't quote me on that. But how cool would it be that if we walked up there, they're about ready to open in about a half an hour, and Francis Ford Coppola himself was there drinking wine, and we got to see him. In about a half an hour, the property is going to open up. We're going to head back there. But you can see some of the buildings from the winery itself from right here on the road. So there's two white triangles over there. Then right over here behind us while we were filming, got wine. Oh, grapes. Grapevines, right? Not wine vines, grapevines. See? We know absolutely nothing about wine.
Come, bad luck just comes my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.
We're now inside Francis Ford Coppola's winery, and they have a gift shop and a bit of a museum with a lot of different movie props from his movies. You're gonna lose your mind. I know Jessica is. In fact, since we were here, we know that the very first thing that we're going to see is the Bram Stoker's Dracula display, and it's right over here to the left. Now I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. We mainly came here just to see this. We saw it before last time we were here in town, but we didn't take pictures of it. We wanted to show you guys Jessica's favorite movie, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and they have the costumes, 3 of the most important costumes from this movie.
What you're looking at right now is what Dracula wore out into battle. This is literally his battle armor, meant to look like a flayed, skinless body, which matches the rumor of Dracula himself. The 2 dresses that you see here, the one on the right, you will know instantly what that is from, but the one on the left gave us a little bit of a runaround. As a fan myself, I had trouble telling which scene this dress came from, and I was able to talk with a curator on site who was able to look through archives with me and confirm that this was a dress that Mina wore when she married Jonathan Harker.
And what's really cool about that, we did the filming locations to the wedding scene in Los Angeles. I think we were probably the only people to ever do that.
To go inside the church?
Yeah.
Stand where they stood when they got married, maybe not legally, but ceremonially actually got married.
And this is her dress right here. This is what she was wearing.
This is what she was wearing. She had a hat and a veil, and you only ever see her from the shoulders up or less, maybe from collar up. You can very slightly make out that teeny tiny lace around her collar, but the telling tale was there was a shot of her from the back standing at the altar, and the bustle of the dress is what gave it away.
Now, baby girl, tell us a little bit about this dress. You touched on it briefly. Now, I bring us back to this because if you're watching this video and you do not know that Jessica is a big Bram Stoker's Dracula fan, she lives and breathes this movie. Now, this dress has got shivers going down your spine, right?
I'm sweating a little. This dress has haunted my dreams since 1992. It really needs no introduction. If you've seen the movie, even in passing, this is one of the most famous dresses from this movie, and it is Lucy as the Vampire Bride. This is her wedding dress. She was buried in this dress, and she was decapitated in this dress. She lived and died, literally, in this dress. This is really wonderful to see in person. As far as I can tell, that is real silk, and that is probably handmade lace. What you cannot see in the film is that it really was a wedding dress, and they made it exactly like a wedding dress would have been made for function. Looking in the back here, there's buttons all the way down the spine, which you don't see in the film, and there's little clasps that after her ceremony, she would have taken that for the train It would have been pinned to the back of a dress like a traditional wedding dress so that she could walk without stepping on her dress while dancing at her ceremony.
Now, what's fun about all of this, a lot of times they swap out different things. They put things on loan in other museums and they bring things here. Usually, it's Dracula's gold robe and his boots right there where that center dress is. And at one point, I think I saw a picture of the coffin being there too.
I think that was here the last time we visited.
Next up, we have a whole display dedicated to Apocalypse Now, which if you haven't seen this movie, you gotta watch it. But if you're watching this movie, well, this video on YouTube, then chances are you've already seen it. It's a classic. There is a ton of stuff to look at. And for that reason, I'm just gonna kind of set this right here. You can look at it, take it in, pause it, and then come back to it. But trust me, wait till we get up to the second floor. This is one of the windows, one of the display cases dedicated to Apocalypse Now. This one's a little easier to look at. I'm gonna move the camera throughout the display case here. There we go. I wouldn't say all of his movies are portrayed here. Maybe they are. There's just a lot of really cool stuff. I'll get ready for a whole bunch of Godfather stuff. This place is insane. Right? This is gorgeous. It's hot. There's a little placard here that talks about the 1948 Tucker Torpedo. Supposedly they only made 50 of them and 48 of them survive today. And this scale model of the now famous automobile, it says, was commissioned by Francis and made in France. So does that mean that Francis Ford Coppola was responsible for this car being made? It's a beautiful car. As soon as you walk up the steps, usually right here is the Godfather Desk, but it is no longer here. Right now it's on loan to the Academy Museum down in LA. Last time we were there, when we did the video on the Academy Museum, we showed it and a whole bunch of Godfather stuff, including the severed horse head. Well, that was a prop. But this is where it once stood. Instead, now it's got a whole bunch of different certificates and things like that. His accolades. Big words. Like here's this one here from the city of Los Angeles. Certificate of recognition is hereby presented to Francis Ford Coppola. It looks like all of the other pictures are for whenever Francis got a star on the Walk of Fame. And there it is right there. Hollywood Walk of Fame presented to Francis Ford Coppola on the occasion of the placement of your star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. We're members of the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. Up here on the second floor, they even have a lot of Francis Ford Coppola's awards, the different Academy Awards, and some of these I've never seen or heard of before, from different parts of the world. I did tell you that there's going to be some Godfather stuff here, and actually I thought there's going to be a lot more. Usually there is, but they do have a lot of stuff on loan. Got a few different things. I think right now, if you want to see the most Godfather memorabilia and screen use stuff in one place, you got to go to the Academy Awards Museum in LA. If you can't make it, you can definitely watch our video. Now this is kind of cool right here in the display case. It says the Godfather Notebook. It's a signed limited edition box of all kinds of different replicas and different things that have to do with the movie The Godfather. It's $500. Which seems like a lot, but if it was Bram Stoker's Dracula, I guarantee you we'd be walking away with one. But still, this is really cool to look at. Not even going to pretend with this. We've never heard of a movie called Youth Without Youth. But for the sake of including everything here, here's this display case. Do you remember our rule about always looking up? Well, up here on the second floor, some really gigantic, larger-than-life stuff to look at. But you gotta look up, especially if you want to see more stuff from Dracula.
We always say, don't forget to look up, because high in the ceiling, as soon as you walk into the room, you'll see this. And this is a mural of Dracula in his battle armor with his original love that threw herself into the river thinking he was dead. You see this as Dracula has been plunged into the heart with the dagger. They crash into the cathedral, just him and Mina, and he says, "Give me peace." And she pushes the dagger further into the heart. You see it plunge into the ground, and then they pan up to what he's looking at, and it's this mural. It's the very last thing you see as Mina mourns the death of him. This is really beautiful to see in person, and I'm not surprised at how small it is because that's movie magic, right? We always find the things we think are very grandiose end up being little. And I couldn't help but look at it, replaying the scene in my mind, trying to remind you where you're going to see it in the film. It is literally the last thing you see before it goes to credits.
Now, if I stand back a little bit, hopefully this gives you some idea to the scale of this thing. Now, another little side piece of information, Jessica was just saying that basically this movie starts and ends with this image. Next up here on the second floor, we got these two giant ships. Now, these aren't from a movie that Francis Ford Coppola did. It was actually his daughter, Sophia. This is from the movie, both of these ships are from the movie Marie Antoinette. They're massive. How did they get them up here? Little plaque here says Marie Antoinette ships. These two ships are props from Sophia Coppola's 2006 film, Marie Antoinette. They sailed in a fountain in Versailles, reenacting a battle between the French and the British for King Louis and his guests. Please look, but don't touch, which is kind of funny because these things, you can pretty much walk right up to them. Pretty much everywhere you look, there's something to look at. In fact, the people who work here, the curators, all said that feel free to just walk around and take a look at everything. So there's different pictures, different posters. Look at that. Now that is beautiful. Love Never Dies, Bram Stoker's Dracula. We need that hanging in our house, signed by the people involved with the movie. Can you imagine having all the different signatures right here?
I got it before it moved.
Oh, it'll happen. I promise you, baby girl, it'll happen.
Somewhere.
There's one more thing that we want to show you guys that has to do with Bram Stoker's Dracula, and that is inside this elevator. Now, of course, pictures on the wall, but wait until you get a load of this. Especially when the door shuts and we get some good lighting. Look at that. Storyboards from Dracula in the elevator. Page number 45, it looks like. Look at this. His eyes glow red. Dracula's POV of Mina, vampire view. Man, that's cool. Now, baby girl, we're not going to take it, obviously, but how badly do you want something like that hanging in our house? That's cool, right?
I can't fathom owning something like that. I can't even imagine owning something like that. That would be priceless to me.
And it's here in an elevator.
I know, and it's original.
The short amount of time that we spent here on property talking to the curator and everything, we found out that Francis Ford Coppola is very humble, and he's all about authenticity when it comes to his movies and creating props and then putting things on display here. It's a beautiful little museum as well as a winery. Like we said, we're not here for the wine, we're here for movie props. More specifically, Bram Stoker's Dracula. With that being said, thank you for joining us for another Grimm adventure, this time from Francis Ford Coppola's Winery, up here in wine country, Northern California. Till next time, happy Halloween.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. A bad luck's always coming my way.